Young people from 15 countries will take part in the two-day conference summit that's hosted by Breaking Down Borders. This is where they'll gather to discuss some of the challenges facing the continent and come up with solutions. I'm now joined by lecturer and PhD candidate in the HIV Pathogenesis Research Unit at Wits University, which will also be part of this momentous occasion. But before we get into that, she just said something to me and I'm just like, girl, we're not just going to move on like you didn't say that. What happened on Friday?
So on Freedom Day, I got an email from the Obama Foundation, and they were like, well, you've made it to the Obama Leadership, Africa Leadership's fellowship. Yeah. So that is really exciting because, I mean, after he's gone out of office, he's now doing this for the first time as part of the Obama Foundation, that he's trying to bring together and develop young leaders in Africa as opposed to in previous occasions, because this takes place here. So we don't have to go out of the country where he's coming here.
Also, this is when he's coming for the Nelson Mandela speech as well.
Yes, so it wraps up with the speech on the 18th.
Put in a good word for us, man. We want him to come here for an interview. Just reply to the email, like, thank you guys, I'll be there, but this is amazing. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Well, what does the email, like, because obviously the email comes from an address. What does it say? Does it say Obama, Obizi?
Obama. I wish it said Obizi. Obama Foundation, I think, yeah.
Okay. Well, then let's talk about where you start and how you end up here getting such emails, right? There's a lot of things that are written in your CV for you. There are a lot of things, and I'm just like, well done. I mean, are you on your way to study your PhD? Are you being considered for it?
So I am currently a PhD candidate. I'm doing it now, yeah.
Okay, and how do you get then? On why did you pick the path that you took?
So initially I wanted to be a medical doctor, and I actually didn't get in. But I got into the undergraduate, sort of like the foundation year for medicine. And I fell in love with what happens behind the scenes of medicine. So understanding diseases, for example, like I work for the HIV Pathogenesis Research Unit. So it's really about how HIV carries itself and how we interact with HIV and how we can create therapeutics and preventative measures for HIV, for example. So I fell in love with really what happens behind the scenes of medicine as an industry itself. How does a doctor know what to give you?
Yes, you that guy. So, I mean, it's if you look at it, it's failure to not get into medicine. Did you take it like that? Did it knock you down?
So at the time, I was just like, I'm going to do the foundation year, and I'm going to apply again, and I'm going to get in. And when I was in the university, and this is the nice thing about university, it exposes you to so much more than what we are told about at a high school level and at basic education level, because there's not an extensive level or an extensive amount of career guidance within basic education sector. So you get to university and you learn that there's mechatronics and all sorts of other weird and wonderful things that you can actually participate in.
That actually interests you more than what you thought you wanted to do. So what's Nkathuto?
So Nkathuto Edu Propeller is a non-profit organization that I co-founded with Uthandeka Mhlanga. And really what we do, so we are researchers, right? And we conduct research with the aim of finding solutions to problems, right? So all we're saying is we've been inducted as researchers to do it at postgraduate level. But we're saying there are problems at basic education level as well. The 18-year-old, the 13-year-old, the 8-year-old has a problem at home that she encounters every day. How's about we go in and we infiltrate that basic education space and we teach these kids how to conduct research for the purpose of identifying problems, finding solutions, but we don't end there. We understand what is happening with the world and the direction that the world is taking in terms of innovation and entrepreneurship. Then we say, child, the solution, how do you turn it into a business case? Let's teach you those concepts.
At 8 years old?
At
13 years old.
So now we're at grade 8 to grade 11. So we're talking 12, 13 to about 17, 18. And Khanyile, you must see how amazing these solutions that these kids come up with, you know?
Because obviously at that age, you think you don't limit your way of thinking, right?
No.
So by the time then we get introduced to being able to be a problem solver, an inventor, an entrepreneur, you're like 25 and your mind's already been, you know, jaded,
Yes.
jilted in a certain way. So you don't think like a fresh 13-year-old.
They're so creative, and I mean they think far bigger. The possibilities for them are endless.
Yeah.
So as soon as you say something to them along the lines of, guys, maybe you can come to the summit, the African Leadership
Yeah.
Summit, then they think about how their solutions that they think about for their communities can actually contribute to breaking down the borders. So from a young age, we're saying to them, we're inducting them and giving them that mindset to say the problems are ours, we own them. And so that it channels them into a particular direction when they go into university. So things that happen to us where we stumble upon biotechnology won't happen to them.
So we currently running, I don't want to call it a competition, it's the celebration of, you know, teachers, right? We're giving a teacher a big amount of money for being the teacher of the year,
wow.
as voted for by, you know, as what's the word I'm looking for? Suggested by viewers. So you come and you give your teacher and say, this is my teacher, she is Thulile, the reason I like her is because of this. Who is this teacher that sparked such an interest and a flame that refuses to die in your life? Because I want another teacher to hear about this teacher of yours.
Sure, there's so many of them. I come from a family of teachers, and that's where it starts. So my mom, my grandmother, my aunt.
Heroes? Are they not just unsung
They're
heroes?
totally unsung heroes because they do so much to not only inspire us as their children, but so many more people, you know? But I mean, even at school, I mean, I had in primary school, I think it was Mrs. Weber. She was fantastic. She was my grade 7 teacher. And she
Mrs.
just
Weber,
always...
was she hot?
Oh, she was hot.
Yeah, my Mrs. Weber was also hot.
She was really hot.
Next
yeah,
one?
nice bod. And then there was Mrs. Norris or Mrs. Aaron. Oh, she was Miss Aaron, and she's Mrs. Aaron. And I had her for like 3 years of my high school career as a home class teacher. And I mean, even when I speak to her now, because at least now and then I still speak to her, they're just those people that are not necessarily in the STEM areas or in the science or technology, engineering, maths areas, but they're those people that stood in front of you and made you think that the world was yours for the taking. Mrs. Langa, my Zulu teacher, she was fantastic, and you know, she would speak to you in Venek and tell you, you must know what you're doing, and you must carry yourself like this. And for me, I mean, those people are phenomenal.
So are these, you know, the type of people we're going to be rubbing shoulders with at this Breaking Down Border Summit? Is that what you're looking to do? The Miss Webers and the Miss Norris and the Miss Langas?
So here's what Breaking Down Borders is going to do. It's going to ensure that there's an intergenerational mix. So your Mrs. Langas and the caliber of people that are like Mrs. Langa are going to be there to interact with us, to say, this is our lived experience, for example, in creating policies and in solving problems in whatever space that we're in. And what is it that you guys have now? Because we've got access to knowledge. So the kind of knowledge we have access to is the kind of knowledge that when they were 30, they didn't have access to. So how do we bridge this gap and ensure that we collaborate and work together with Abo Mrs. Langa and Abo Mrs. Weber, who continuously inspire us to be better? But how do we make the spaces we're in better? We can have those conversations about that as well.
Listen here, Obama Fellowship lady, I could listen to you speak all day. Well done for this, well done. We look forward to following the entire path. As Kwame Nkrumah once said, it is clear that we must find African solutions to African problems. And a united Africa could become one of the greatest forces for the good of the world. And in this thinking, in this initiative, this is why we're backing Breaking Down Borders. It's all about that. We support you. The summit takes place from May the 14th to the 18th in Pretoria and Johannesburg under the theme Africa Youth, Building Our Legacy.